Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dan Mack. I'm a first year medical student, and today we're starting a brand new series, Journey to Medicine. I've got a special guest with me today, fellow medic and friend of mine, Annabel.
Hi guys. So my name is Annabel, or you may know me as the Sunshine Doctor on Instagram, and I'm a second year medical student at the University of Nottingham. I'm a graduate entry student, same as Dan, and I'm about to enter clinical phase.
Awesome. Are you excited?
Yes, I am really excited. I feel like at long last we're leaving behind the textbooks, the books, and I'll get to move around, get up, get to see people actually do what I feel like I was coming here to do. So it'll be good.
Yeah. Well, we'll get on to that all stuff in a bit. But how did you get to medical school? Obviously, what degree did you do first, for example?
So I did biology at Manchester. I think in terms of my journey to medicine, it's a bit kind of different to other people's, and that I didn't always want to be a doctor. Just didn't really know. I kind of thought about it as a teenager, but then my dad left, and so at that point in time, my world sort of imploded. I didn't know what was going on, didn't know if I could afford to go to uni. So all these sort of things were kind of running through my head, and I like the idea of starting what is undergrad. I think it's 6-7 years. I was like, absolutely not. Before you're earning money, that's far too long to be dependent on my mum, who couldn't pay a mortgage and stuff like that. So for me, at that point in time, medicine kind of went out the window. I went to Manchester, had a great time, absolutely loved Manchester, and I really enjoyed biology. So I studied genetics at first, switched to biology, just because it was a bit more broad-based, and I kind of always thought from there that I would go into research, but here I am.
Okay. So you're saying you thought you were going to research stuff. So what made you decide after you graduated, I don't want to do research, I'm going to be a doctor?
So my final year project was in a research lab in the hospital, and it was looking at placentas and fetal growth restriction, and kind of seeing why babies are born prematurely, which was really cool, really awesome. And the kind of all the staff there that was split into two groups. They were either research people or they were medics who did research. And all the research people who just did BScs and doctorates, they didn't see any of the patients, and they had no human contact. And also, if you've ever been in a lab for longer than half a day, you'll know what I mean when I say it is exceptionally boring. You can't actually fathom how dull it can be, especially when it's electrophoresis after electrophoresis after electrophoresis. So for me, I really like chatting to people. It was an absolute no-go. Even though the science was really cool and I felt like I was having an impact, it wasn't the kind of impact I wanted, and I really missed speaking to people and the instant gratification you get with medicine. You help someone and you see that they're better, whereas if you make a joke, you don't know.
True. I mean, I remember my biomed staying in the lab for ages, and I was like, this is fun. This is okay. Like you said, I will help someone in the future, maybe. But medicine, you get to see it. Basically, you get to interact with people and not cells.
Yeah, definitely. I think science degrees are really good at making it seem really fun at first, because in your first and second year you have a lab partner, you've got your whole course in the same room as you, and then you go into an actual lab and it's literally just you sat there with a pipette, and it's so boring. You can't, it's so dull.
Fair enough. Yeah, so in that respect, then a lot of people watching this might have done biology before. Do you think it's helped you in medicine now?
So when I compare myself to the people in GEM who didn't do science at all, 100% it helped me from that perspective. I understand what data is, I understand how to read a paper, all of those things are all great. But I studied biology, so I mainly did genetics and a lot of things to do with plants, animals, which is really cool, really interesting stuff. But by comparison to people that did biomed, who have done all the kind of pathologies and the bone things and everything like that before, I feel like I know absolutely nothing. So in some ways it's helpful, in other ways it's not. I wouldn't take it away because it definitely helps, but I don't think it's as useful as I anticipated it being, I think, which is a bit disappointing. But
I know it's a good reality check, because I remember when I started, all my friends in the year above were like, Dan, yes, you did biomed, but module one's not a joke or whatever. You need to take it seriously. And because I was listen to lectures being like, oh, I did this in my undergrad, I don't need to listen. But then my first formation came and I was like, oh, I do need to listen actually.
Yep. See, I found the first module really straightforward and really simple because all of the like in-depth genetics-y kind of things were all stuff I'd done before. But then it was as soon as we got into the next modules where it's like cardio, respiratory, like I didn't know anything, and it was really like a bit of a reality check at that point. I was like, you can't coast anymore, you need to actually start working it.
Yeah. Which I think is good in some respect. Like for the GAMSAT as well, I was like, oh, section 3 or whatever. Section 3 is the science one, I think so. Yeah. I was like, oh, I need to revise. I do a science degree, but then I was like, oh no, I do need to revise.
Definitely. I find it quite interesting, like with all the aptitude tests, because even though I'm come from a science background, I'm like, I would say my forte is writing, which is why I do my Instagram, because I like writing. And so ironically, my best score was in the second one, which is like supposedly the arts kind of one, and my third score really wasn't that great, which I don't really know. That just shows I haven't really got good value for money out of my degree, but we'll take it.
Right, you're here now. That's what matters. So along that line then, so obviously when you were younger you wanted to be a doctor, and then you decided maybe not, and then you come back to it. Was there like a work experience, something that you enjoyed that made you think that, or made you wake up and be like, I'll be a doctor?
Yeah, so I think for me it's the fact that I kept coming back to it. So like I've always like flirted with the ideas of doing other things, like being an astronaut, like, you know, doing whatever. But when it like actually comes down to it, like the kind of thing that I'd always return to was like, I like science, I really like being around people, medicine fits that bill. And so I came around to the idea of it, and I was like, okay, so if I'm interested in this, like why not just get some work experience and see. So I did gap medics in my second year of uni. I like saved up my bursary from uni to pay for it, and I went to Croatia, and it was incredible. Oh, wow. So at that point in time, I was kind of weighing up whether or not I wanted to do a physician's associate course or medicine. And so I kind of went with the mindset of, is there a specific specialty I'm interested in? Because at the time I was thinking pediatrics or obs and gynae. Kind of like, is there something I'm really interested in from that perspective? And if there is, would I want to go straight into it and be a PA, or am I just not really sure what I'm interested in, and would I want to do medicine? So I kind of went, that trip basically made me decide kind of what I was doing, what I was thinking about, and whether or not it was kind of what I was interested in.
Wow. Well, definitely that sounds like a hell of an experience to find out that.
Expensive, but worth it.
Fair enough. Because yeah, I think for me, when I came to the interview stage, I think it tells once you're in medical school who's done work experience and who hasn't. Like, it's just little things. You'll know. Everyone who's watching this, you'll know when you get there. There's little things.
But I feel like I'm missing a joke.
No, it's like little things. Like the other day, I was like, again, the small things. Like we were getting ready for clinical skills, where we have to wear like full PPE nowadays. And someone was putting their apron on. They're like tying their stuff, and I was like, oh, "You haven't worked in care, have you? Because if you worked in care, you'd tie that apron in like 3 seconds." So things like that. Little things like that. It's not major things, obviously.
See, the thing is like I've done all my work experience and I've never had to wear an apron. Like I was called volunteer and everything, and like the whole concept of wearing gloves and apron and mask and everything, like I'm clueless with it anyway. Like I feel useless when I walk into clinical skills. So they made me
odd though. It is odd walking into clinical skills though, having to wear full PPE, and like I don't know how was your first year not having to wear PPE?
Like comparatively great.
Yeah.
I really appreciated. It's one of those things where you don't realize what you've got until you haven't got it, and I didn't really appreciate clinical skills as much as I should have done. Now that we don't really have it as much. Having said that, I think John Brain and everyone did an absolutely incredible job at making clinical skills really great for us, and like I don't think the teaching standard has dropped. I just think that in terms of my own concentration, if I'm wearing a mask, like PPE plastic, I'm quite hot and I'm not really paying attention. Like I end up fiddling with my mask and I'm like, oh, this is really irritating. So I feel like I kind of doze out and like anything could be going on around me, whereas I feel like before it was really on it. I don't know if you feel the same, but
yeah, well, everyone keeps talking to me about like when we go back to clinical skills, and I was like, I've never gone back. This is clinical skills to me, so it's gonna be so weird coming in and like listening to people's actual hearts. Not saying we don't do that now, we do that. I'm just saying, like I don't know, it's too weird. It's just yeah, I don't know. I like it, but we'll see.
That'd be
Anyway, I'm moving on. So that talking about med school and stuff, then what do you think your best moment so far has been?
I think my best moment in medical school, to be honest, has been in clinic, like when I've been on my GP practice. Just like on placement, I just had the best time. It reminds me why I'm here, because I don't know about you, but like looking at textbooks all day long is really dull. It doesn't make me feel like I'm a doctor, or it doesn't feel like what I want to actually do. So every time I'm in clinic, it just reminds me, this is why you're here, and you are good at what you do. And like the fact that I could like make a really big impact. Like we had one patient come in who it was really sad, to be honest. It was her mum and the daughter, and the mum was really sadly kind of having a lot of memory loss. And so we did a memory test on her, and the daughter was so grateful. You could see it in her. She was so happy that even though her mum's memory wasn't where it could be, or like should have been, she was so grateful that we were there helping her, being empathetic, not judgmental, the fact that she couldn't remember things. And I was like, this is why I'm here. I'm here to make a difference to people's lives and to make them feel better in themselves, even if we can't really do that much about it. So for me, that was like a top moment, I think. Just anything like that, really.
To be fair, yeah, you're about to hit clinical phase now. Hopefully you'll get that every day.
Yeah.
Or something similar.
To be honest, considering the fact you're on MSK, actually getting a tendon reflex, like that was incredible, because I never get them. Definitely my flaw.
Well, yeah, we did that the other day, and my partner hit me in the bone every single time, and I was like, please, hit it just once. I'm asking you, please. It hurts. I'm not worse, but it hurts.
Yeah, it's not fun. Especially when you're in clinical skills and they're like, oh, you're just not whacking them hard enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to really whack them in case I hit somewhere in the wrong place. Like, I don't want to hit that bone really hard. That's just going to be unfortunate.
Well, yeah, we got told a story about someone who was testing a reflex, I think in the elbow or something, and someone had a trapped nerve, and they just went like whack, and I was like, please, everyone watching today, don't do this to me. Please.
I don't care about like a neuro injury, just don't do it.
Yeah, fair. But no, we're talking a lot about work and everything. How do you find balancing work and everything else then?
I think in COVID, rubbish, if I'm honest. Like
Yeah.
I'm really bad at it. We've got a lot better now. So like as a house, we tend to like work downstairs, and that's really good for motivating me. But I went through a phase of like getting up and then literally like sitting at my desk, and it was in the same room, and then like going to bed in the same room, and my concentration just wasn't there. And also I think because you don't physically have to stop, because there's no kind of natural lull in your day where you have to go to uni or you have to come back from uni, you feel bad for not filling every second up with work. And so for me, like my balance shot straight out the window. It's still not really where it should be, and I feel like since COVID started, I've been incredibly unproductive. But normally I'd go to the gym. So me and my boyfriend always go to the gym about like for an hour or two every day. So that's like a really big part of the day that's like really important to me, to kind of clear my head, do something a bit different, read, see friends, like anything like that. Not that you really have much of a social life at medical school, but we try.
But again, everyone's talking about going back, and we're going to have all these house parties and stuff. And I was like, guys, do you know what? We're studying medicine. Are we going to have all these house? Are you serious? Like, let's be real for a second.
Like when I actually think about it, I feel like you go to like maximum like one party for like 2 to 3 weeks. Like maybe it's just me, maybe I'm antisocial, I don't have friends, but like I physically cannot cope with that many parties. In undergrad, yes, any day I would have gone to a party, but right now, like balancing this volume of work, I just couldn't.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like med school is definitely a level up. Like even though I was telling my brother this the other day, I was like, oh, we have like 8 lectures a week. He's like, is that it? We have way more? And I was like, okay, yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, I promise you. Like, it's 8 lectures where I have to listen to every second and make a note of what they say. Not 8 lectures of where I have to sit there and be like, yeah, next one, next line, please.
Yeah, I definitely feel this. I feel like for me, my undergrad, I can't remember how many lectures I had a week. I feel like I had about the same, but I'm definitely with you on that this is so much more intense. I think you have to know everything, you have to know around everything. And like something when it comes up with the slide in undergrad, I could kind of be like, don't really get that. Oh well, just went right on that question, whatever. Whereas now I'm like, you have to know this, like somebody's life will depend upon it, so get studying.
Yeah, definitely. That brings you on to like how do you keep motivated then with all, because obviously you have a lot of work to do. How do you power through?
I'm a big list writer, so I respond really well to tough love, and I just kind of like write myself a list, and I can't do anything until I've done today's to-do list essentially. And that's the only way I can really get through it, is I just have to force myself to do it. And I can't do anything like fun before I've finished my work, otherwise it all just goes out the window, and that's the only method I have, unfortunately. I feel like you were hoping for pearls of wisdom, but
no. I did the exact same thing, to be fair. It's nothing like this grand thing, like you said. It's as simple as make a list, make sure you get it done. Although I remember I was talking ages ago about a study technique, and ever since you told me about using Anki and watching at the same time, it's revolutionized myself. Honestly, it sounds silly, but it's revolutionized my study. I just get things done now.
Split screen it. It's beautiful. Get everything done in one go.
Yeah. Oh, well, going back a bit, sorry, you said you go to the gym normally. This brings me on to a question I got asked ages ago, actually. If you could pick between deadlift, squat, and bench for the rest of your life, which one are you going to pick?
Oh, squat, easily. Absolutely easily. Yeah. I hate deadlifts. I feel like, I don't know what it is, just like the form or something. I feel like every time I do it, I have to relearn it. So for me, it's not a vibe. And I actually really enjoy benching, to be honest, but I can only lift the bar, so it's not really much challenge there. So at least if I squat for the rest of my life, like I'd have somewhere to go with it.
Yeah, fair. I'm the exact opposite. I hate squatting. It's just like my spine. I'm like, this is too much weight on my spine. I don't think that's okay. Like, if my arms fall off, that's fine. We can connect those. I hope. I don't know. Oh, well, like you said, you're going into clinical phase now. Is there any speciality you're looking forward to or thinking of doing in the future?
So I have a few that I'm interested in. I really like obs and gynae. However, there's a catch with that. I'm really interested in it, but the downside is the babies are born at any time of the day, and regardless of career progression, you don't get a change in your lifestyle, which you know, I think like right now I don't really care if I'm working nights or days, but I think in the long term, like, you know, would I want to be working nights like randomly when I'm 55? Probably not. So I think for me, that's like one of those things I'm just going to love it and leave it. Then I'm also really interested in pediatrics. I really like child development, psychology, that kind of thing. So I think pediatrics would definitely be like a really go-to for me. I've done a lot of work experience with children as well. So like I've done a week with a surgeon in Great Ormond Street and in ICU. And so for me, like, even though when you say that to people, they're like, oh, that must have been really intense, I actually really thoroughly enjoyed it. So that for me makes me feel like it's really up there. So probably between those two, but we'll see.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, my friend's actually going tonight to she's doing a night shift. On obs and gynae, sorry. So she's delivering babies all evening. So that's something to look forward to when you hit your clinical phase. Definitely.
I'm so excited. I would just be counting those babies off like, yes, nailed it. Another one down.
You never know. They might name a child after you. Never know.
I really hope so. Like, I know who that's happened to someone. I think it might have happened to Teddy.
Yeah.
And I was like so jealous of that.
So. Imagine, that's definitely a highlight for every medical student if that happens.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen a couple of babies being born in Croatia when I was there on Grap Medics, and even though I was literally like a fly on the wall, I was pointless. But it was such an amazing experience. So to actually be a proper part of it, I think would be incredible.
Yeah, it will be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. So you said those specialties, are you looking more the surgical side of things or the medicine side of things?
Not.
Well, you're quite sure. Oh, okay.
I would like I like the concept of surgery and the idea of surgery, but I think just like the reality of it, I don't think I'd be good at. I just like talking to people, and surgery intrinsically doesn't involve that, and that's my biggest skill. And I'm also not an anatomy fan, so I don't think we'd.
Fair. Well, I was going to ask you then, what's your favourite Grey's character? They're all surgeons. Did you have a favourite Grey's character?
So I was thinking about this, and while I really, really want to say Christina, because obviously she's awesome, she's really cool. I aspire to be that smart, I think, in life. But I think I'm a bit more like Lexi. Just because like I'm the kind of person that would cry over my makeup and just be that pathetic, really. Not that it's pathetic to want to wear makeup, but I just feel like that's more me.
Right. I mean, they're both really smart, so yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
So a few of these people watching might also be medical students or first-year medical students. Do you have any advice for us little budding doctors?
I think something that someone said to me or I might have heard it somewhere or whatever, that I think like really stuck with me is what happens to the person who gets the lowest grade in med school and they become a doctor. And I really firmly believe, I don't know if it's just because I'm a graduate student and I've like lived a bit before and I haven't gone in at 18, I don't know. But for me, I think it's really important to make sure you don't miss out on like really big things in your life. Like if you want to go traveling, book it, go on your F3 year, go in the holidays, like save up, make sure you do all of these things because you don't want to look back and regret it and just feel like you're missing out. And for me, that's a really big, important thing that I think a lot of med students miss, or they just think like, oh, it's fine, I'll just do it when I get through exams, and then like, you know, when I've got into clinical phase, I'll do it, or when I finish med school, or when I finished F2, and like, we're on a career which doesn't like it. You always have exams, you always have something you're striving towards, and so you can't live your life like waiting for the next moment. Your life is right here, right now in this chair, and so you need to be very much in the present and do what you want to do.
Well, fair. That's not motivational. I don't know what it is.
And you, thank you. That too.
So yeah, then for people also watching this that are aspiring to get into med school, do you have any tips for them as well?
So I think practice is the number one thing. So with the UKCAT, I used Medify, which was incredible because it just meant that I just like practiced over and over and over again. With the GAMSAT, get hold of past papers. Probably shouldn't say this, but a lot of people out there have past papers from doing it themselves. So you can get hold of past papers without paying a fortune for them. So get hold of past papers, again, practice, get hold of A-level textbooks. And then in terms of the interview, what I did is I went online and I found like a list of like the most likely questions. I like jotted down answers that I would kind of answer for them, and then I also practiced with myself in the mirror, so so I'd know what I'd sound like, what I'd say, how I'd react all the way along. So I was kind of just felt a little bit more prepared for them, and watch the news as well, because 9 times out of 10 they'll bring up something like a recent medical topic that's in the news in your interview.
True. My interview day, actually, I remember watching the news or listening to the radio on the news, and something came up. And I spoke about it in an interview, so I was like, thank you.
Thank you, radio.
Yeah, thank you so much for your one. Well, for those people watching this that might have some questions for you or anything, or just to say thank you for your advice, is there anywhere they can find you?
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram, and it's @thesunshine-doctor. Alternatively, I have a blog which I've kind of been neglecting a bit lately, but you can find me on there, and also on YouTube, which is again The Sunshine Doctor. But yeah, feel free to DM me, like ask me questions. I'll probably do like a ask me anything question thing soon, so you can find me.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll leave links to both those below, so everyone go check that out. But no, thank you so much for speaking to me tonight and your time. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.